Hey everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode number 101. Unfortunately, we've nipped over the century mark, and dearest Grandma Fox, which is the athletic fox I have here, is feeling a little poorly.
Yes, hello, Benny. And everyone, he's calling me Grandma Fox because I have to apologise. I am on the other side of this feral virus that I've had that's kept me in captivity for 5 days with a horrible temperature and everything. This is the first day today that I'm feeling a little bit more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. But Ben is calling me a grandma because, let me tell you something, when you've been watching 3 movies a day, you start to watch things that you perhaps wouldn't usually watch. So I started to watch Downton Abbey, and I thought it was really good. So I WhatsApped Ben and I told him what I've been watching.
It's not good.
And he's called me a grandma. So I didn't know that it was uncool to watch Downton Abbey, but I thought Downton Abbey was pretty cool. Maybe it's because I'm British and I'm Australian and I miss Britain. I don't know, but
it's uncool because my girlfriend watches it. So.
Oh, well, there we go. Like, Lizzie's a fan too. Then me and Lizzie, Downton Abbey fans.
It needs like a few more guns in it or something. Just something like spice it up a little bit.
It needs a bit more like, sex, drugs, rock and roll, if I'm really honest, but there we go.
Exactly. Point proven. Well, I hope you get better soon. You sound alright. You look alright. If I look that good when I'm ill, awesome, but I don't. And to be honest, you were saying earlier, I have no idea the last time I was ill. I felt a little bit overtrained about a month ago, but that was about it. Backed off a little bit, sorted myself out, and that was it. But I suppose that's the beauty of being cultivating your own awesomeness.
Look, I agree. I'll second that. I agree. Like, I'm one of those people, and I brag about this all the time. This is probably why I got shot in the foot. I'm never sick, and never ill. And if I do get ill, like you, Benny, it's like a very short thing. It might be half a day or a full day. I go have a good night's sleep, and I get up and I'm fine. But one thing that this has taught me, I tell you what, 5 days in captivity in your own house is a killer. And it has taught me that you can survive on dried crackers. You can watch 3 movies a day and nap in between. And all in all, you become extremely, extremely grateful for your health. And the other thing is, I can tell you now, by day 4, when you're sitting on your couch, all you want is mum. All you want is your mother there to make you chicken soup and to bring you cold towels and good old mum. But my mum lives in Abu Dhabi now, so she's no good over there. So I had to suffer on my own. Boo.
If I was ill, I don't know what box set to choose. Apparently, I keep missing out on Breaking Bad or Prison Break or any. I don't watch any of them. I have no idea. I'm like
not me.
Just a TV recluse. I watch 2 hours a week and that's it. So I've no idea. But one day, maybe if I get a virus, I'll watch Breaking Bad or something. Apparently, it's amazing.
Anyway, every cloud has a silver lining.
Yeah, I've just come back from SFN Expo, so I'll give them a shout because they deserve it. They put on a great show. A lot of people know and have heard of Body Power and stuff, and they're basically trying to do that in Scotland. And awesome. Why not? There's not a huge amount of people in Scotland that are going to travel to Body Power because it's a huge journey, it's a long way away. And when you put a hotel and travel and everything on top, it becomes an expensive weekend. So, they put on a great show. For their first year, they did a great job. I was sort of one of the headline speakers alongside Lane Norton, which was a massive honour. Both of my seminars went down an absolute storm with packed crowds, and got to meet some really cool people. So, the organisers, Jamie and Neil of SFN, well done, pat on your back. And if you were sitting on the fence this year and didn't go because you thought, it's the first one, it'll be a bit small and stuff, well, everything needs help to grow, and it'll only grow if you buy a ticket and attend and support it and rave about it, and more people go next year. So I'm hoping that they get a real massive improvement next year. They did a great job, and I'm looking forward to being there again, to be honest.
Awesome. Was that in Edinburgh?
Glasgow.
Glasgow.
Yeah, and it's definitely a buzzing city since the Commonwealths and stuff. And all the sport that's happening up there. It's definitely, there's a lot going on. It's quite a nice place to be. Yeah, I'll definitely go back. I mean, mind the weather could be a bit better, but that's Scotland, hey.
Hey, I'm a Welsh girl. Wherever I go, I'm used to like cold, wet weather.
Yeah.
Scotland cannot be any worse than Wales.
It was annoying because we planned one tourist day, and the one tourist day where we wanted to do everything, it was literally lateral wind. You know, like just literally couldn't go outside. So like we went up the high street, and that was about
it. Awesome. Any other news to report?
No, I live a very boring life. Let's answer some people's questions.
Okay. Yeah, the Bantosaurus in me today is a little subdued, so let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question is from Jim Gale in Liverpool, and this is a little bit of a different question. So, hi Ben, huge fan of the podcast. Keep up the inspiration, infotainment, and awesomeness. I have a question for the podcast, but it deviates slightly from your usual topic of actual nutrition science and more towards the business of the industry. I'm a PT currently in Liverpool, but I have been quite inspired by all of your success all over England and Rachel's achievements and success down under. It is a goal of mine since I can remember to lecture and teach fitness and nutrition in a different country like Australia. But I've always been a little apprehensive about the move and how to make it work. My questions are here. How did you break into the industry on a national scale, and what's the path from instructor in a gym to a lecturer at Body Power? Could Rachel help with how to go about getting things going in Australia? Is there a best place to start with a specific skill, and the best place or city to head for? I hope you can help me here, buddy. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Keep up the good work. You're making the industry a much better place for people like me to be part of. Thanks, Jim.
You missed out the last comment. I thought that was really funny. She said, P.S. I already wrote you this message on Facebook, and now I'm writing it out again. I feel like Stan from that Eminem song. Stalker vibes. I thought that was funny.
It was quite funny.
I suppose. Do you know what? I get this question an awful lot, and for me, it's very straightforward. The answer, but the problem is the answer is riddled with saying to someone that you need to have the confidence to literally just go and do it. And having a goal like this is not a short game. Like, you don't end up doing this kind of stuff, you know, within half a year. You don't put yourself on that kind of scale, because any kind of growth that you might have in terms of your presence from a business perspective, it takes time to cultivate, and it can be dependent on several factors. For example, and this is the same in any business environment, in any industry, if you have lots of money, for example, you can take a bit of a short route to any kind of outcome because you can push money into it, whether that's advertising, you know, essentially advertising and paying for things to get done. Whereas anything that I did in the industry was always for free or organic and playing the long game, because I started my business when I was at uni. I was a student, and I didn't have any money, and I didn't have any money for a long time after that. So, you know, to answer her question quite directly, how did I go from being a trainer in a gym to, you know, doing things like speaking at Body Power and doing what I suppose people look at as cool stuff? You know, and remember, everyone's goals are different. You know, don't think that success is something that I have, because success is different for every individual. Success for a lot of people is owning a gym and living the lifestyle that they want to live and helping people. Cool. Success is individual to everyone, and that's really important. I never enjoyed being a PT. I was a PT for 9 months. And then I said, look, not up for this. Doesn't really fill my boots. I'm going to uni. I need to be doing more. I need to be better stimulated. Went off to uni. Obviously, was a personal trainer while I was at university, because it was an intelligent way to earn money on the side and be flexible. And my second year of university, when I got the inspiration to start my own business, and I had this kind of burn or desire to do things on a bigger scale. I like the sound of my own voice. I like to satisfy kind of my ego and constant progress, which, you know, keeps me fired up on a daily basis. And I just said, well, how do I get more people to listen to my work? Well, I need to blog, I need to do videos, and they were the main two platforms that I used. And obviously I used Facebook and Twitter because that's where everyone is finding their information. Everyone's going onto Google, Facebook or Twitter and is trying to look at people that are delivering good quality content. And I just spent years putting out good quality content. Like, there wasn't a week where I didn't write a blog. I started to put a lot of video content out, and I started to build things that people wanted or needed, or areas of the market that I could fulfill. So when I first started the academy, there wasn't really a nutrition education system like it that was delivered purely online with that much content across the whole of a year. Now, don't get me wrong, since I've done it, other people have done it because they've seen the kind of opportunity that I created. And hopefully we'll always stay one step ahead because I was the first guy to pretty much do it in the format that it's in. And I think it's just a case of you need to start to sow the seeds and know that wherever you want to get to will be a long game to a degree. If you want to be a presenter, well, you need to show two things. You need to show that you're knowledgeable and that you can deliver information, you can deliver it consistently. So doing videos, for example, is really important because people need to see that you are articulate and can do things and can present yourself and are confident, etc. And then if you do that enough over time, you grow, more people see it, more opportunities come to you, and then people go, hey Ben, been following your work for 3 months, I think you're really articulate on video. Do you do public speaking? Would you like to come here and do a talk? And then it escalates. And then obviously you keep telling people that you're doing this kind of work and that you're available for it. And that is essentially how it kind of snowballs.
I'd say exactly the same thing. And then also become very, very good at what you do. And I think this goes for any industry. Become damn good at what you do and get results day in, day out, over and over again with different people, different clients, different people from different walks of life. It forces you to get creative. And, I've been in the fitness industry, if you like, since I was 16 years old, teaching aerobics. And, I then went to physio school and I was PTing all through physio school. And, when I left physio, I came over to Australia and I had to, I remember I was 22 years old. I had no plan when I got here. I just said to my mum and dad, I'm going to Australia, and I had to renew my Cert 3 and Cert 4 in fitness, and that was my purpose for coming to Australia. And I remember on my flight over here, I was just kind of excited, I was this like 22-year-old, and I'd gone straight from GCSE, straight to A-levels, straight to university, and I'd never really had any downtime. So this to me was like my gap year. I'd actually started a job in the NHS at that stage. So anyway, long story short, I remember 22, I got off the plane, I arrived in Sydney airport and I was like, fuck, what have I done? I am miles from anywhere. I don't know a soul here, but I had booked myself into a hotel. Anyway, long story short, got myself to the hotel. I called my mum and I was like, Mum, what do I do? Like, I'm here now, what do I do? And she said, well, you got to go make friends. So I was like, okay. So off I trot down to the breakfast area and I went to talk to the girl behind reception. And I said, listen, I'm here for 3 months. I said, can you tell me a good place to live? She told me a couple of places. So next thing I know, and of course, back then we didn't have Google Maps on iPhone. So I had to get my map out and I had to get on a train. And I went up and saw these like little places. And yeah, and that's that's the story of how it all began. I joined a gym, and you meet people and you talk to people in the gym, and I had different training buddies along the way, and I wanted to become very good at what I did, and like you, Ben, I had this insatiable thirst for knowing more, and it was an ego thing as well, like, how good could I be? And I think for me it was a competition thing of, obviously I come from a background in physical therapy, and I was very much into strength conditioning in rugby. So I like in my head, I was like, okay, whatever the guys know, I want to know more. Because being a female in a strength sport, you're going to have to know more. You've got to be smarter, you've got to be quicker, and you've got to be faster. To know these things, you've got to be quick-witted. So that's basically where I started all of this stuff. And, to come over to Australia, you just got to do it. It's not completely alien over here. And I think people think that, particularly coming from the UK, people think Australia is, you know, this land far, far away, which, you know, that only has beaches, babes, and bikinis. And whilst, you know, to a certain extent that is kind of true, you know, just work over here is just like any other place. You just got to graft and you've got to grind, and you will get to the top. But it is about who you know. You do have to be a good connector, and you have to want it really badly. So I think, you know, those would certainly be my tips. And it doesn't matter where you go in the world, start somewhere and start talking to people.
I think you make a great point about satisfying the individual ego, because there's nothing wrong with you know, people have a big problem with talking about themselves and being honest about their skills and being confident about their ability, and you've got to get over that. Like, I have no problem saying that I am a good presenter, and I need to have that perspective of myself, because if I'm in front of someone that is going to put me on stage or give me an opportunity, or, you know, discuss a business or some kind of opportunity with me, I need to sit there with confidence and go, no, I can do that. I'll speak. How many do you want me to speak? I'll speak in front of 5,000 people. God, stick me in the O2 Arena and I'll do whatever you need me to do. People need to see that confidence, because if you've never got that confidence, then you're not ever going to be the guy for the job. So satisfying someone's ego and being confident about your ability is really important, because if you're not the person that can do that and can say that, someone else will be, and you won't be the guy to fulfill that need. Like, I'll confidently sit here and go, I'll put on a performance in any environment, on any stage in the world, and I'll deliver and I'll do well. Now, me having that perspective straight away is going to put me head and shoulders above 99% of people, because a lot of people will go, ooh, you know, I've never performed in front of that kind of crowd, or I've never done this, or I've never done it in Australia, or I've never done whatever. There'll be an excuse somewhere, but I'll be the guy that won't make a single excuse. And even if I do partially crap myself, even if I do say, oh God, Ben, you're stepping it up, there's no way I can step it up without just stepping it up. I've got to take that step at some point. So I think, and this is especially important in women, because who we're talking about is a female. You know, females are often reluctant, I find, compared to men, to be really confident about their abilities. They always dumb it down. It's nice to dumb down your abilities for people or skills. No, don't do that. Be confident. Say, yeah, no, I am amazing at back pain. Get in my clinic, I can help your back. No, I'm amazing at helping people lose weight. Now, be confident about your abilities, because if you're never confident, you'll never inspire people about your ability and show people that you can be the guy to help or deliver something that people want you to deliver.
I think this is an important point here as well, because there are, and this is why I like videos. I mean, I actually started on YouTube, and all I started doing initially was just filming my own training, and it was purely for general interest. You know, all my girlfriends back home were like, "Oh, what are you training at the moment?" So I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'll just put it on YouTube so you can look at it." And it kind of grew from there. Really, people became interested in my training, and this is a difference, Ben, because I agree with you, women in particular. Although this is a question from Jim, so. Excuse me, it is a guy we're talking about here, not a girl, just so we're clear.
Oh, sorry.
But, you know, this goes to males and females. You do have to be confident about what you're doing. Now, unfortunately, we see the other extreme as well on social media, where we have fitness bunnies and fitness guys, Instagram people, in inverted commas, who proclaim to be, who are probably overconfident, and then they never deliver. So, you know, when we've got somebody like that who is a big talker, yet all they do is post pictures, and yet there's no substance to back it up, this is where we see the difference between an expert and a fake expert, if you like. So this is where you've got to make sure you're careful who you're following.
Let me sum this up. I thought this was hilarious the other day. I saw a quote, and the guy said, being famous on Instagram is like being rich in Monopoly.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a
and you know what?
between...
These are great tools, right?
Yeah, they are. But there's a difference between, you know, being a guy that's popular and getting, you know, likes and clicks and stuff on ab photos on Instagram, which is great, and putting information out there and being like a bit of a go-to guy. But that's different between someone putting a camera in front of your face and having to deliver that same kind of information, because a camera in front of someone's face unravels all the transparency because you're put on the spot straight away. And it's a skill I've always harnessed and been confident with, and said, if I can do all this on camera, I can do it in any environment, because that is the environment that puts you under the most pressure.
Absolutely. I have to confess here, I would prefer you put me on stage in front of 5,000 people to talk to a live audience than put a camera in my face. And, you know, I've filmed God knows how many series of Wimp to Warrior here. I've had a camera in my face for 6 months of the year for the past 2 years with Wimp to Warrior, and I'm going to start my 3rd series now. And it's all very well and good when, you know, when you're out there filming, you don't realise that it's there, but that camera comes to you one-on-one for an interview. It's like that split second that you second guess what you're about to say, you'll lose your trail of thought. So it's one thing that I've certainly learned to deal with a camera in your face. You just talk as if you're talking to somebody. Because, you know, and I'm giving tips here to Jim, if you take this, start filming yourself on your iPhone. And the first time you do it, you're going to feel like a complete idiot. But just talk to your iPhone, talk about anything. And just repeat and repeat and repeat until you get it right. And, you know, the first couple of times you do a video, you're going to feel like an idiot. So what if you look like one? As long as the general information is there, I really don't think people care nowadays. It's about confidence boosting.
Yeah, you've got when you film those videos as well, you've got to show them, because when people film videos, they're like, oh, I look like an idiot, I sound like an idiot, whatever. Show that video to someone else, and as soon as that person goes, oh, that was really good, that was really helpful, you have to take that in its stride. If someone else, and essentially your target audience, has said, oh, that's really good, I found that really helpful, the information was good, then you need to take that as to say, well, there'll be another 10 people that will like that information. Because you'll just sit there and go, oh, I sound like an idiot, I look weird, whatever. Right, fuck that, doesn't matter. You need to go and show your target audience. If they say, I like it, found it helpful, you're on to a winner. You need to put it out there and not worry about what you sound like, what you look like. You know, I look back on my video, some of my videos now, and I think, oh my God, what was I doing, what was I playing at? But it doesn't matter, because the people that it was aimed for, the people that it aimed to help and inspire or educate, found it useful. And that was purely the aim of the video. It was not for me to look, you know, anything special or look handsome or whatever on video or sound intelligent. It was to help people or be confident and offer some education. And coming back to my point of the O2, I'm definitely going to speak on a stage like that one day.
I'm sure you will, and you'll fill the room with light, I'm sure.
Fucking Tony Robbins style, like thousands. Yeah.
Oh, please don't make the audience all hug each other.
No, that's a bit weird. Americans do that.
Oh my God! Can I tell a story? Right, so I'm going to digress a little bit. This is about Tony Robbins.
Better be a good story.
I went to this business conference. This was in 2010, and I went with my friend Mike. And both of us were like, we just went purely because there was really good speakers there. Tony Robbins was one of them. And they all had this like sort of hour and a half sort of pitch. Obviously they were selling stuff, but you know, they were giving away good content as well. So Mike and I joked at the beginning of this conference, and we were like, oh, do you reckon like Tony's going to fucking make us all hug each other? And like Mike hates people, like he's not a social person. So I was like, oh, it's all right, Mike. I was like, I'll look after you. So anyway, Tony gets on stage. He's like this giant of a man. And, you know, everyone's like standing up and clapping and everything. And I'm like, oh my God. And he gets into it all. Anyway, he goes, yeah. And, you know, meet the person next to you. So like Mike and I are like really like standing close, shoulder to shoulder now. And he's like, okay, sit back down. And he's like, you know, pat the person on the shoulder next to you. So I'm like patting Mike on the shoulder. You know, give the person next to you a really big hug. Also, it was words to that effect. And I was just like, oh my God, it's fucking happening. I was like, Mike and I just grabbed each other. And I was just like, just do not look up. It's going to end soon. So thank God, no, we didn't have to.
Loads of the big speakers that do that kind of stuff they do it, and I 100% see the rationale behind doing it, because no one, like when a lot of people go to a seminar or they go to an environment like that, they sit down, they don't talk to anyone else, they pay attention to their own little world, they look at their iPhone or whatever, and they don't engage with the world outside them. Now that's you standing, that's you staying in your comfort zone, and straight away Tony Robbins is standing there going, right, for you to do anything different in life and to get out there and do cool things, you need to get outside your comfort zone. You need to meet more people. You need to be able to express your emotions. You need to be able to, connect with people. And him just saying, turn around and tap the person on your shoulder. Now, you wouldn't have done that in any day life. You wouldn't have talked to that person. You might not. You definitely wouldn't have hugged them. So, I totally see that. And that's a lot of the time in any industry, the progression element, the putting yourself out there element, the ego element, the confidence element is about making those kind of steps outside your boundaries.
Oh. Look, I 100% agree, but I don't want to hug a stranger. And I think it's because we made such a big deal of it before going in there, and like we'd heard about all this stuff, and it actually happened to us anyway. But look, I agree. Just get outside your comfort zone and do something you wouldn't ordinarily do.
Right. Let's bury
Should
this.
we move on?
Should we talk about some nutrition?
Yes. Not hugging strangers. I'm sure I've done that in a bar though. Anyway, I digress again. Oh, give me a couple of glasses of wine and then I'll hug a stranger. Hi Ben and Rachel, and this is from Dave in London. Hi Ben and Rachel, I'm not sure if this is a one-off question or a whole show with possibly a specialist can be dedicated to it. This is about babies and child nutrition. I'm pretty sure I've listened to every podcast. Thank you for the information, by the way. And I can't remember the following subject coming up in any great detail. I'm aware of general food choices that I should be making for myself. I'm also aware that everybody is different in their varying tolerances and reactions to different foods. My wife and I are both lucky in the sense that neither of us have any known specific reactions to dairy, gluten, carbs, etc. My question is, what do I need to consider with young children? I currently have a 10-month-old daughter. She eats whatever we give her. Like all conscientious parents, we try to ensure that it tends to be high-quality, non-processed, fresh food. We eat when practical. We try, when practical, to give her a blended version of what we have, which has the positive effect of us eating better also. At the moment, she doesn't have any sugar unless it naturally occurs in food. We won't be Nazis as she grows up, but I do think it's important that she has treats along the way. But that's not norm. Sorry. Also think that treats should be along the way, not the norm. We want to encourage her to make good food choices as she grows up. What I don't know is what foods would be the most conducive to her growth and development, and what do we need to be aware of. Also, I've looked into what the meals will be like when she goes to nursery, and unfortunately they abide by the government guidelines on diet and nutrition, so fundamentally wrong, full stop. I can instruct that I don't want her to have any sugar, etc., but I don't want her to be made a special case of. In a nutshell, in your opinion, or adhering to reliable research, what should I feed a child? I don't want to use the word macro breakdown as it seems ridiculous for a baby, but I suppose ultimately that's what I'm asking. Thanks for your efforts with all the podcasts. Cheers, Dave.
Oh, good question. I think it's probably quite a quick one for us to answer, because, which is good. We've already been rattling. Child nutrition for me is so important, and what Dave and his partner are doing at the moment is, so bang on already with, getting real food right from the outset. So a huge problem with changing a child's nutritional thought process or eating habits is whether you've got them into bad eating habits right from the get-go. Because if you give a child the taste of sugar early doors, it will crave sugar. It's a very addictive compound in the human diet. And when you start to give fluids to a child, for example, and you start giving it squash and fruit juice, and then you ask the question, the next day, what do you want to drink? And you say water, squash, fruit juice, whatever. the natural choices is they will choose the fluid that had the sweet taste. It's only natural for the body to crave those caloric and very sweet foods or fluids. Sorry. So being strict with the child, I think, especially in the first 4 years of their life, is really, really, really important. Just giving it water or giving it some milk, and that being their main fluid. Like they don't need anything else. Like parents feel like they're cheating a child by not giving them juice or not giving them fruit juice or not giving them something different. But a child will not know any different if you don't give it to them. They won't. Until they go into an environment where they're made to potentially feel different, which will happen at school. If they go to school and everyone's drinking Coke and orange juice and that kind of stuff, and they're drinking water, then they might possibly be the minority. But I think it becomes very easy when you educate the child in the home as to why they make these choices. If you educate them on the way, this is why we do these things, then they're empowered by that knowledge and can almost stand up for themselves when they're greeted with kind of comments to say that they might be different. Oh, I do this because that drink contains lots of sugar, and we know that sugar can be bad for your health and your teeth and all the rest of it. And kids will say this stuff to each other. I've observed it, especially when I was doing coaching in schools when I was at university. So for a start, don't make any environment weird for the child. Definitely give them what they need, and they won't know of anything different. In terms of what a child needs, they definitely need a diet with a good fat content. It's really important to have a high omega-3 content. The research is unequivocal to show that high omega-3 content in the diet helps infant brain development and will make your child smarter. And saturated fat and cholesterol rich foods, because they help with brain development. Again, a lot of the brain is made up of saturated fat and cholesterol, so getting meats in there, butters, avocado, coconut oil, dark chocolate now and again, these are really, really important foods. And then aside from that, there's no really other science apart from real nutrient density. So obviously children like softer foods, and this is a perfect way to get as much nutrition in them as possible, because remember, they don't eat it not a lot, they're a child, so what they do eat needs to be of nutritional density. So making things like soups and stews and purees is a perfect chance to get tons of veggies into a real tight portion and give them lots. And then as a child grows, so like 5 to 14 years old, they'll want they'll still want a decent amount of fat in the diet, but they'll still need a fair amount of carbohydrate in the diet, because they don't have a huge amount of muscle mass. So their glycogen storage capacity is obviously quite limited. So they do need a fairly decent carb content in their diet. They do rely on the carbohydrates in the gut and thus in the bloodstream for energy more than an adult would, because as an adult grows, it develops more muscle mass, a bit more fat mass, and it has more reserves that it will continually use as an energy source. So I think that's really important. And if you get fish, for example, into the child's diet early doors, then you're on to a winner, and they're going to keep eating it, and that is really, really important.
I think I will say as well, I mean, children also go through phases where, up until probably about 18 months, 18 months, some earlier, they will eat pretty much whatever's put in front of them if you've given them a whole food diet, and then they start to get fussy when they're in their twos. So, don't be put off when you go through the 18 months to 2 to 2.5, 3. Even as a 4-year-old, they still get picky over their food. So don't give up, and still try to stick to it as whole foods as possible. But it's one of those things. Should you have a macro breakdown? No, you feed your child a whole food diet based on whatever you eat. So that's all I really have to add.
Yeah, cool
Awesome. That was a quick one. Okay, next question. This is from Jamie. Hi Ben, being your classic endomorph, please can you shed some light on the benefits of this body type? Secondly, I train 6 days a week currently on the intermittent fasting protocol and do not have any trouble so far in terms of diet, but the motivation to do cardio every day can be a bit difficult. Can you suggest anything that would help me overcome this problem if necessary? Cheers, Jamie.
Firstly, the benefits of the Endomorph, there aren't loads. They tend to be not as metabolically strong, not as hormonally strong, especially in its regulation of sort of insulin and handling carbohydrates, which is why we typically tend to find endomorphs will do better on a higher fat diet. The benefits, you'll probably gain muscle quite easily. So if you know how to regulate your diet, time your carbohydrate appropriately, and are lifting weights, you'll probably put on a good amount of tin, and you'll look good naked. And then secondly, you say the whole cardio thing. Like, well, if you don't find cardio fun, maybe either A, find some cardio that you do find fun. So go play football, go play frisbee, go for a walk. I don't know, do something that inspires you to actually get out and move, or don't do it. Like, you don't have to do cardio. There's no rules here. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, for example, which might be one reason why you're doing cardio, then what's important is that you're doing some kind of training, your protein level is consistent and it hits your minimum daily requirements, and that you are pretty much in a calorie deficit, to some degree. It could probably be quite small because you're doing fasting. I think anything too big would be too aggressive for the body. But there's no rules. Like, you don't have to do cardio. Like, you're already training 6 days a week, which is a good amount. For a lot of that is weight training. You could probably get away with just doing weight training. Like, there's no rules. So do what you love, or knock it on the head and maybe eat a little bit less.
And yeah, there's so many different things that you can do for cardio as well. Like, I think a lot of people just think of cardio as 60 minutes on a cross trainer or 60 minutes on that T word, the treadmill. Ugh. There are so many other things that you can do, and it maybe is, it may be something that you start, Jamie, that you start doing, like, I don't know, maybe just at like one set of Tabata on the spin bike after you've lifted your weights. That takes you 4 minutes. And with that, like, you know what, Jamie, the thing is this. So I'm going to cut to the chase here, and I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. If you're quite big and you're technically quite unfit, you're not going to like cardio, sunshine. In fact, you're probably going to hate it. So I would suggest that before you give it up, you try something that is a little bit shorter, and maybe you do like 2 or 3 Tabata sessions a week, just really short, 4 minutes after your weight training sessions. The fitter you become, I think the more that you're going to start enjoying cardio. And it's not that you have to do it. I agree with Ben. Like, you might decide that, you get to a reasonable level of fitness and you actually just hate cardio, which is fine. But if, I don't know where you are in your training phase, but as a coach, my initial thing, like, if you were my client, I'd say suck it up and get on with it and find something that is tolerable and short, and give yourself maybe 3 weeks and apply yourself for 3 weeks. If you still find it, you absolutely hate it and you're dreading it after 3 weeks, fine. Find something else to do. That's my 2 cents.
I haven't heard sunshine for quite a while. I thought it was quite funny. Look at it, I
don't bring it out very often. I mean it in the nicest possible way.
Right, question 4.
Question 4, rolling through them. Okay, hi Ben, what's up? This is from Ben. From listening to a lot of your podcasts, I'm inspired as to how you've done during your time as a student. You say you've had 3 jobs. You've set your businesses up and still done student things. I've just finished school and hopefully will be going across the pond to England next year from Northern Ireland to do a strength conditioning degree. And was wondering, would you be able to give people an insight on how you budgeted for things such as groceries, how you overcame the social nights out, etc., to the clubs, found time to work and studies, and just generally coped? I would be very appreciative if you could give me more insight. Peace out. Keep up the good podcasts. I love them. And I usually have them on whilst tidying my room every Friday. Thanks, Ben.
I suppose this is kind of like question 1 in terms of like the overall message, in the fact that there's a lot of hours in the day that we're awake. And when you're a student, like our contact time at university, for example, was like 8 hours a week. Okay, that's one day. That's one day in my life at university. Let's say I needed to put another whole day in terms of study, which is probably realistic. That gives me another 5 days in the week. That gives me another 5 days to work, to be creative, set up a business, go out and get shit faced, play sport. Which I all did. So. One thing that I probably can't help you answer, which is part of your question, you said, kind of, how do you cope? For me, there was never really a coping element. Now, I would describe myself as a very independent person. I got shipped off to boarding school when I was 9, so I had to think on my feet from a very early age. Regardless of being in quite a nice, nourishing environment at boarding school, but I've every hour is mine to do what I want to do, and you have the option of being a typical student and getting up and sitting on the sofa with your housemates and chatting, and going to the lecture when it's on, and then coming back and sitting in front of the TV a bit more, and then maybe doing something. And then, a lot of the time, that is the student lifestyle. It's very lazy. You become very lazy as a group, and you do a lot of mooching around and stuff. But I never really ever did that. Now, I always got involved in the big stuff, so I always looked at stuff at university, and I was like, oh, right, there's an awesome night out on Wednesday, cool. From 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock onwards on Wednesday, it's social time, it's a write-off. So I always got involved and planned to be involved in all the cool stuff. Now, it wasn't me not getting involved in university life. I just picked and chose my moments. Monday was usually a good night out. It was to the local club. Wednesday was a sport day, so Wednesday was like my day off for sport, and we'd go out in the evening, that kind of thing. And then the weekend, I'd quite often do my uni work because it was quiet. We couldn't afford to go out the weekend. And then dotted in between that, I had a job, several jobs. I did placements. So it was just a case of, while everyone else was doing nothing, I was doing something. How did I deal with the nights out? Well, I either went or I didn't. I either said to people, A, didn't have any money, B, I got uni work to do, C, I just didn't want to go. I had to, some people don't have the confidence to say, actually, I don't want to go on that night out, and I'd say that. And I'd try and strategize as best I can so I didn't have a hangover. So I always had like a routine before I went to bed to try and minimise kind of hangover or feeling crap. And because I would want to get up early the next day, I'd want to get on with my day, and I'd want to be functional. So, I never found it as like I had to cope with anything. For me, it was a case of, again, like most things in life, just doing it. I planned my week out. I knew when things were coming. I knew when my lectures were. I knew when my nights out were. I knew where training was. So it was a case of filling in the gaps. And I wasn't going to fill in the gaps sitting around watching TV. I was going to fill in the gaps with making my life happen. And that was seizing every opportunity in front of me. And university holds the key to a huge amount of opportunity, but just no one ever takes it. At university, it was cool to be lazy a lot of the time, and I didn't think it was cool to be lazy. I wanted to make things happen, and I don't want to sound arrogant in any way, but I made a lot happen for myself at university, and it's transferred in a good way. Like 4 years, it's now 4 years after university's finished, like pretty much to the date. I'm in a good opportunity. I have a job that I love. I have a huge amount of stuff around me. Earn good money, etc. So the steps that I took at university helped me. That's not to say that other people aren't in the same position as me. I'm not trying to make myself sound elitist, but there's a huge amount of people that took the route to not really do a lot of uni, and I can imagine they're not quite as in a position that I am purely because I took those steps. So just don't fully buy into the whole university life. Like, you don't have to be lazy. You don't have to, kind of be the bum student. Get involved in the cool stuff. Take the opportunity. Hustle around and make it work for yourself and not other people.
I wish I had my time at university again. I think if I knew then what I knew now, I would actually have been less serious at university. I spent a lot of my time working. For my degree, I did a physio undergrad, and I worked and I played medic rugby. So I did sport as well. Loved my Wednesday afternoons and Wednesday night sports night. And of course I went out, but the rest of my time was spent training and working. And if I wasn't working on stuff towards my degree, I would have been working on something training related, like reading something training related. So, in hindsight, would I turn back the clock? Absolutely no way, because like you, I didn't build a business back then, but I was sort of building the foundations to my business because I was learning more than I perhaps needed to get through my degree. But I wish I'd had a little bit more fun at university and just realised that things don't actually have to be so serious then. So it depends on on who you are as well. And I think particularly for girls, they can get too serious at university and miss the fun side of university. So it is important to have a balance.
Like I wouldn't do any...
We can't all be smart like you, Ben, and start business at the university.
Well, everyone can. They just got to have the confidence to fulfil the idea.
Absolutely.
If I rewind the time at university, I wouldn't change a thing. There was a few things that I missed out on, but that was just... There's always going to be some stuff that you can't do. It clashed with some stuff. But honestly, there's just so much opportunity at university. When I got to my time towards the end of university and I was working a lot in the enterprise centre, a lot of people that were in my year were like, what's the enterprise centre? And I'm like, well, if you actually walked around and read the university emails that they put up and read the alumni magazines and all these kind of things, you'd learn that actually there's a huge amount of stuff that happens at university. You just don't look up from the day-to-day of what your normal university life is. So I had a huge amount of opportunity in the Enterprise Centre. I got to go to some really cool stuff. When the placement came up to work with Hull, which is a Premiership Rugby League team, I was the first guy there. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm the guy at the front of the queue, whereas everyone else was like, oh, it sounds really cool, but, I won't have as much time to sort of go out and that kind of stuff. My first year, I still averaged 3 nights a week going out. That's good going. Anything more, I'm going to kind of pickle my liver and look like shit. So I never really felt like I missed out on it. And a lot of the time when you've done a lot of Wednesday nights out, it can just be another Wednesday night out, and then you just need to pick your time to say, actually, this Wednesday night's going to be different. It's going to be fancy dress, and we're doing it with another sports team, and those nights are really good. So I picked and choose those nights. And left the ones that were not as good, so I could get up the next day and nail my dissertation or whatever it was that I was trying to do.
Oh, how good are those sports nights? Those fancy dress sports nights.
They were good fun.
Oh, university days. Then, honestly, when I went back and I did my postgrad here at Sydney University, I thought it was going to be exactly the same, and it wasn't. It was hard work for a year, but no, it wasn't the same as an undergrad. But
right,
good times.
Good times.
Anyway, that's it from a question.
Uni is good fun. Right, let's wrap up this show. This show's going out, 2nd of August. Next week, I will have Alex Manos on the call. So Alex Manos is a very clever man. He is going to be speaking at the Body Type Nutrition Conference this year. He's also the lead tutor on our Advanced Academy program. So we're going to ask him some very complex questions. We're going to open up his geek brain and maybe show a few people why they might want to learn off Alex in the Advanced Academy if they are a real geek about nutrition. So be around for that call. Rachel will then be on the week after, and then after that week we're having a little bit of a reunion, and Anna will be back on the show, Anna from proteinpower.com, and we're going to talk about a new book and what she's been doing, and basically a bit of reminiscing. I've got a lot of guests scheduled already for the rest of the year, and it's looking really good. Anyway, thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Betty.
Pleasure as always. Look, if you enjoyed the show, please do me the massive honour of leaving me a review on either iTunes or Stitcher, or writing a comment on YouTube, sharing it via Facebook and Twitter, As you know, the show only grows from your love. I can't do this, I can't help it grow without the support of you guys. So everyone, look, stay awesome. Hope you learned some cool stuff today. And me and Rachel will see you in 2 weeks' time. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye.
Hey everyone, Ben Coomber Radio, episode number 100. So you kept commenting, you kept saying, so Ben, who's going to be the 100th guest? It's got to be a really big show. As I said on episode 98, every show is a big show.